Schedule 1, Part 2, Professional Misconduct in Relation to Members of the Institute in Service. A member of institute other than a member in practice shall not be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he is being an employee of any company, firm or person. Clause 1. Pays or allows to agree to pay directly or indirectly to any person any share in emoluments of employment undertaken by him. Additional points. This clause does not restrict such sharing among them relatives, dependents, friends, etc. If payment is not consideration for job procurement or relationship. Clause 2. Accept or agrees to accept any part of fees or profits or gains from a lawyer, a chartered accountant or broker engaged by the such company, firm or persons or agents or customer of such company, firm or person by way of commission or gratification. Additional points. For example of misconduct under this clause, a CA besides holding COP is also an employee of and by referring a lawyer to the company for a case, he receives a particular sum as referral fee from lawyer. Part 3, Schedule 1, Part 3, Professional misconduct in relation to members of the institute generally. A member of institute, whether practice or not, shall be deemed to be guilty for professional misconduct if he, clause 1, not being a fellow of the institute acts as fellow of the institute. Clause 2, does not supply the information called for or does not comply with requirements asked for by the institute, council or any of its committees, directors or board of disciplinary committee, qualification review board or the appellate authority. Additional points. Secretary acts for the council, hence request from secretary amounts to a request from council. Examples of misconduct under this clause: failure, failure to furnish information of relationships with multinational accounting firm in India. ICI required this information to be submitted online within stipulated time. Failure to submit Form 18 deals with deed of assignments of articles where the articled clerk is a minor. While applying for COP, did not fill in the columns about his engagement in other business, failed to reply to the letters of institute asking him to confirm the date of leaving the service as paid assistant. Clause 3. While inviting professional work from another chartered accountant or while responding to tenders or requires or while advertising through a write up or at anything as provided in items 6 and 7 as part 1 of schedule gives information knowing it to be false. Schedule 1, Part 4, other misconduct in relation to members of the institute generally. A member of institute, whether a practice or not, shall be deemed to be guilty of other misconduct if he, clause 1, is held guilty by civil or criminal court for a offence which is punishable with imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months. Clause 2, in the opinion of council, brings dispute to the profession or the institute as a result of his action, whether or not related to his professional work. Additional points. Example of misconduct under this clause: CA in practice offering free service in return to sanction of loan. Concurrent auditor used his position to obtain funds and failed to repay the same to the bank. Checks were dishonored due to insufficiency of funds. Withdraw the money from bank which does not belong to him. advising unethical practice to the clients. Second schedule, part 1. Professional misconduct in relation to chartered accountants in practice. A CA in practice deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he, clause 1, discloses information acquired in the course of his professional engagement to any person other than his client, so engaging him without the consent of his client or otherwise than as required by any law for the time being in force. मतलब confidential clause है ये तो. Additional points. Duty not to disclose continues after even after completion of assignment. CA may disclose information if it is required as a part of performance his professional duties. SA 200 requires auditor should respect the confidentiality of information required in the course of his work and should not disclose any, any such information to a third party without specific authority or unless there is a legal or professional duty to disclose. In case of sole proprietor concern, consent may be given by proprietor or his constitute attorney who is legally empowered to give such consent. In case of partnership firm, consent may be given by any partner. In case of company, consent may be given by board of directors. There is a difference between sharing of working papers and sharing of information. As far as working papers are concerned, working papers are the property of auditor. Auditor may at his discretion make portions of or extracts from his working papers available to his clients. Examples of misconduct under this clause: disclose vital information of his client's business without consent of client under impression that it will help the nation to with compete with other countries at international level. During seminar, used actual data of client with full identification of client details and displayed to explain query. Clause 2. Certifies or submits in his name or in the name of his firm a report of an examination or of financial statements unless the examination of such statements and the related records has been made by him or by a partner or an employee in his firm or by another chartered accountants in practice. Clause 3. Permits his name or the name of his firm to be used in connection with an estimate of earnings contingent upon future transaction in manner which may be lead to the belief that he vouches for accuracy of the forecast. C can participate in preparation of profit or financial forecast and can review them provided he indicates clearly in his report the sources of information basis of forecast and also major assumptions made in arriving at forecast and he does not vouch the accuracy of forecast. SE 3400, the examination of prospective financial information provides that management is responsible for preparation and presentation of prospective financial information including identification and disclosure of sources of information, basis of forecast and underlying assumptions. Auditor may be asked to examine and report on prospective financial information to enhance credibility. Thus, while making report on projections, auditor need to mention that his responsibility is to examine evidence supporting the assumptions and other information in prospective financial information. His responsibility does not include verification of accuracy of projections, therefore, he does not vouch for accuracy of the same. Clause 4. Expression of express his opinion on financial statements of any of business or enterprise in which his firm or partner in his firm as a substantial interest. Additional points applicable on all types of artist functions by members. However, management consultancy services, example evaluate cost products manufactured, can be provided even if in case of interest in enterprise. Member shall also not express his opinion on financial statement any business or enterprise if relative of a member as prayers 18 has substantial interest in said business or enterprise. If CA is a director of company, then such CA or firm in which he is a partner shall not express any opinion on financial statement of such company. Cooling off period after completion of tenure as director. A member shall not accept the audit of a company for a period of 2 years from the date of completion of his tenure resignation as director of the said company. Clause 5. Fails to disclose material fact known to him which is not disclosed in financial statement but disclosure of which is necessary in making such financial statements where he is concerned with that financial statement in a professional capacity. Additional points. Determination of materiality has been provided in AS 320. Materiality in planning and performing on audits. Example of misconduct under this clause. Auditor has come across information that a loan has been taken by the company from employees provident fund and the said loan has not been reflected in books of accounts. Loans were from employees provident fund to employer company in contravention of applicable rules. Auditor of said provident fund discloses contravention of trustee of funds but not to members of the fund. Auditor noted some irregularities in operation of trust and commented upon these irregularities in confidential report given to trustees, but did not mention about these irregularities in his report on annual accounts of trust. Failed to give disclose of charge created against corporate guarantee given in favor of a group company. Clause 6 fails to report misstatement of finance known to him to appear in financial statement with which he is a concern in professional capacity. If CA is acting as authorized representative and submitted incorrect statements on instruction of his client authorities, he is not liable for misconduct. Clause 7 does not exercise due diligence or in grossly negligent in the conduct of his professional duties. Additional points. It is a vital clause which usually attracted whenever it is necessary to judge whether the accountant has honestly discharged his duties. The expression of negligence covers a wide field and extends from frontiers of fraud to collateral minor negligence. Examples of misconduct under this clause: issuing a clean report on balance sheet without examining accounts, submitting stock audit report without physically verifying stock, failed to confirm value of investments from any proper source and simply relied on management representations, digitally signed the form without verifying genuineness, certified circulations figures based on management information system reports without examining books of accounts, not completed his audit work and not submitted his audit report in due time. Investigation indicated that auditor did not exercise reasonable skill and care and perform his work in casual and haphazard manner. Clause 8 fails to obtain sufficient information which is necessary for expression of an opinion or its exceptions are sufficiently material to negate the expression of an opinion. Clause 9 fails to invite attention to any material departure from the generally accepted procedure of audit applicable to the circumstances. Clause 10 fails to keep money of his client other than fees or remuneration or money meant to be expended in separate banking account or to use such monies or purposes for which they are intended within a reasonable time. Member may be entrusted with monies belonging to his clients. If he receives such funds, has duty to utilize such funds only as per instructions of client or for purpose of intended by clients. Advance received by CA against services to be rendered does not fall under this clause. Monies received for expenses, payment of statutory fees, purchase of stamp paper, etc., which are intended to be spent within a short time, need not be put in separate bank account. Monies received by CA in his capacity as trustee, executive liquidator, etc., must be put in a separate bank account immediately. Schedule 2 Part 2 Professional misconduct in relation to members of the institute generally. A member of institute, whether practice or not, shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he, clause 1, contravenes any of provisions of this act or the regulations made thereunder or any guidelines issued by the councils. Additional points. This clause requires every member of institute act within the framework of CA and regulations and guidelines made by council thereunder. Any violation by member would amount to misconduct. Regulations under which cases contraventions may be generally come to the notice of council are Regulation 47 premium or loan deposit from article assistant, Regulation 48 stipend to article assistant, Regulation 65 article assistant not to engage in any other occupation, article Regulation 67 complaint against the employer from article assistant. Examples of misconduct under this clause: fail to make payments of stipend or article assistance every month as per Regulation 48. Article clerk Articled clerk is not attending office on regular basis. Articled clerk is availing leave quite often and coming late to the office. Issued a certificate in respect of raw material consumption statement as CA in practice without even applied for COP. As per UDIN guidelines issued by Council, CA in practice shall generate identification number, unique document identification number, मतलब UDIN, for all kinds of certification, audit reports, and other audit assurance and attestation functions undertaken are signed by him. Statutory audit of listed companies shall be done by only those auditors who have subjected themselves to peer review process of the institute and hold a valid certificate issued peer review board of ICAI. Statement on peer review shall be deemed to be a guideline of the council. Clause 2 being an employee of any company, firm or person discloses confidential information acquired in the course of his employments except and when required any law for the time being in force except as permitted by the employer. Clause 3 includes in any information statement written or form to be submitted to the institute council or any of its committees, directors, board of disciplinary committee, quality review report, or the appellate authority any particulars knowing them to be false. Additional points. Examples of misconduct under this clause: in application for implement as auditor of branches of banks submitted to institute included another CA name as a partner in firm who is not a partner of the said firm not on of the said firm on date of application. Clause 4: defalcates or embezzles money receives in professional capacity. Part 3: other other misconduct in relation to members of the institute. Generally a member of institute whether in practice or not shall be deemed to be guilty of other misconduct if he, clause 1, is he held guilty by any civil or criminal court for an offense which is punishable with imprisonment for a term exceeding 6 months.